Bonelab. Ever heard of it? Bonelab is probably the most anticipated VR game of 2022, and for good reason. It is the follow-up to the critically acclaimed Boneworks, with the difference being that it will be on Quest. Yes, that's right, finally, for the first time since Saints and Sinners, we'll have a AAA level game on Quest. Their launch date trailer just launched, and the game comes out this coming Thursday. Yes, that's in less than a week. Go watch the trailer if you haven't, it's linked below. But since we still have to wait an entire week for the game, here's some copium to help keep you satiated in the meantime. Here's 10 things you probably didn't know about Bonelab. Biggest new feature showed off in the new trailer was the ability to change to different avatars. By pulling something on your arm, you can quickly change to a variety of avatars that have different stats and attributes to help you in a variety of situations. The first avatar we see appears to be a shorter avatar for crawling through tunnels. Next we see a tall, lanky avatar for reaching high places. Then we see what appears to be a pretty normal avatar, but that's not all. We also see a female avatar that's more athletic and can run faster, and it also is showing off some of their new boob mechanics. Then we see a thick boy that's basically going to be your melee tank that can literally throw dumpsters. And then there's another female avatar, this time with some maid vibes. Her special attribute seems to be agility, like jumping, but it's not super clear in the trailer. I can already see so many possibilities with these avatars. I mean, forget boring standard speed running. There's going to be playthroughs and speed runs where people try to use only one avatar type. And imagine how that's going to affect your replayability. Every level will feel fresh and unique depending on what avatar and playstyle you go with. One thing Boneworks was great at that this game's taken to a whole new level is the freedom to play the game however you want. Bonelab is going to have a go-kart that's fully simulated. On his Twitter, Brandon said that while seated, you're simply a full physical player jointed to a fully physical vehicle. No cheats, pure simulation. In the video, we can see a bit more about what that means. Essentially, all of the things you could do outside of the vehicle, you can still do while riding the vehicle. So imagine using slow motion, pulling out and shooting weapons, and disappointing your parents. And if the vehicle for some reason flips over, you're knocked out of the vehicle in a completely natural and expected way, since it's being simulated. And apparently, if you know anything about game development, this is a much bigger deal than it seems to us smooth brains at first. Bonelab has at least 7 different game modes. We know this because some mad geniuses took out some microscopes and microscoped the shit out of the trailer. A lot of the credit goes to people like David Duggan, who counted the appearance of 7 different game modes. And those 7 game modes will be the campaign, sandbox, arena, tac trial, parkour, mods, and experimental. A lot of these modes are the same ones from Boneworks, like the campaign, sandbox, and arena. Parkour and mods seem pretty self-explanatory, but then you have tac trial and experimental. I imagine the tac trial is some sort of shooting time trial mode, kind of like Pavlov's Kill House. As for the experimental mode, that one is left for us to just speculate and make horoscope predictions about. My guess is that it might be an experimental multiplayer mode, but we're not sure. That's me just, again, looking at the stars and speculating. Bonelab will, by far, have the most advanced avatar system ever created for a game, beating out even the most advanced VR adult games, pun intended. The developers want the avatars in Bonelab to really represent you. The avatars should match not only how tall you are, but how thick you are, and your in-game stats will scale to match. To do this, Bonelab will have you input your height and t-shirt size. And there's also a fine-tuning menu that allows you to enter exact measurements for your chest, underbust, waist, hips, wingspan, and inseam. Outside of how large or skinny you are, Bonelab will for some reason have the most advanced boob physics that any game has ever had. We got to see a little peek of that in the new trailer. Brandon says it will feature a soft body system for the breast that eventually will expand to the abdomen, groin, back, and butt. To see really what that looks like, we'll have to wait until the game releases, but supposedly it will be a much more advanced system than your basic VR chat jiggly boobs. Beyond boob physics, it also has physical twist for the arms and thighs, and they've also said that in the future they want to have cloth physics. But for now, they're working from the inside out. They want to get the bones right, then the meat, then the clothing. In Brandon's own words, after bones come fat and muscle, VR demands fidelity. You'll also be able to import your very own avatars to Bonelab. This is confirmed on their Steam page, which says, "Be anyone you want." Custom avatar importing enables you to play through the game looking however you want with physical stats to match. From what I understand, the game gives you these basic avatars that I showed you earlier, and then any avatars that you upload will be added onto that. So potentially you could upload as many as you want and switch out between them as much as you want. I'm not really sure. What we do know is that the avatar stats are based off of the silhouette of the character. So for example, if they look at the silhouette and it looks like you have larger thighs, that means you're going to be a better runner. If it looks like you have broader shoulders, thicker arms, that means you're going to be a stronger punch. All of that is going to be calculated just from a silhouette image of whatever avatar you upload. We also don't know what file format or how hard it's going to be to import avatars, but some of the most popular Boneworks mods involve ripping assets from other IPs so that YouTubers can clickbait you with titles like Spider-Man VR. So considering how popular popular custom avatars are in Boneworks, it's not surprising that this is now a built-in feature for Bonelab. But this is also another reason why I suspect that the experimental mode might be multiplayer. Otherwise, why put so much effort into making the avatar represent you? Beyond just uploading avatars, they also plan to have modded levels and other kinds of modded game modes from the community. They want mods to be a built-in feature as opposed to like Boneworks where you had to like download some other program to be able to mod Boneworks. It was all a complicated process, and they want to simplify that and make it something easier for the community to do. At launch, they're going to have avatar modding and level mods. Post-launch, they want to have items and vehicles moddable. They're going to work with the community to be able to bring everything that the community wants to the game. Bonelab will feature full body tracking, but not at launch. Brandon has stated that they have a lot of work that they want to do on it before shipping it, but the way he describes it is full body tracking is either fully being used or fully off. When it's fully on, you can get some of the jankiness that you get in games like Blade and Sorcery, which obviously they don't want. So instead of this, they want to get it to blend in a sophisticated way where you have control over your body with trackers, but your movements still end up looking natural and predictable. If they achieve this, it could be some of the best full body tracking implementation ever created for VR. They have plans to introduce 6 degrees of freedom to the player. When referring to 6 DOF, you may think of VR tracking, but when Brandon and the team at Bonelab refer to 6 DOF, they're specifically talking about taking you, the player, and turning you into a vertical washing machine. Currently, 6 DOF only exists when driving the go-kart, but they do want to introduce it to the player while on foot. The game takes place not only in the same universe as Boneworks, but in the same location. The description says, sentenced to death, you embody an outcast escaping fate, discovering a pathway to a hidden underground research facility. A series of challenges, experiments, and discoveries await. A road to the truth calls from the void. Later on in the description, it says that the hidden research facility is in MythOS City, the same city where Boneworks takes place. We also see all of the same enemies from Boneworks. Now, I usually don't ask people to subscribe at the end of my videos, but if you would like to subscribe, that would definitely give me a nice little dopamine boost. But if not, I at least hope that this video gave you a little bit of dopamine. I also want to thank my YouTube and Patreon members. You guys are amazing.